Hello. Testing. Hi guys, good morning. My name is Ram and it's good to see you guys again. Yeah, it's been some time, but we're gonna go ahead and have an amazing session today. Okay, guys. So today we'll be learning about Splunk, all about Splunk. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna be doing in this session. Now, before we go into any more details, I want a live session confirmation check from you guys, like if you guys can see me properly or if you guys can hear me properly, all that sort of stuff. Just go ahead and leave that in the comments. I'm just gonna browse through it. I mean, chat. I'm gonna browse through it while you guys type it out. So while you guys are doing that, let me show you one thing. So generally we do this. So guys, here at Great Learning, we started something really awesome. It's called Great Learning Academy. A lot of you already know about it, but for all the newcomers who don't know anything about Great Learning Academy, it's an amazing place where you can get more than 200 courses for completely free, right? You don't have to pay anything for it. It's completely free, and it's an initiative that we started to make sure that people who have not found any jobs as freshers or have lost jobs or are looking for a new change in their career, it's easy for them to pick a path and start, right? So this is the place for you to go. Just go ahead and type in greatlearning.in/academy, and this is where you're going to come. Now, the first thing you will see is selecting a career path, because that's the most important thing you want to do when you're changing your career. So there are a lot of different careers over here. Now, the most appropriate career over here that I need to tell you guys about is, data analyst. So if you want to be a data analyst, or if you want to get into data science, right, you can go ahead and select data science over here, or just go to the career path of data science, and within that you'll see data analyst, business analyst, data engineer, data science. So whichever one you want, you can go ahead and select that. And once you select the career path, you're going to get the list of all the important information that you need to know. Like for becoming a data analyst, this sort of information over here. And if you scroll down, you have all the different courses that are provided by Great Learning that you guys can check out, that will help you become a data analyst. Okay, and all of these are free. You don't have to do anything, and you even get a certificate for all of these, right? So that's a really awesome win-win. And if you guys want, you can go ahead and just directly check out all the courses that we have. If you just scroll down a little bit, you'll see all the different courses we have, individually without checking the career path if you're into that. Okay. So with that out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and check the chat to make sure you guys can hear me and see me properly. All right. So in the chat, we have a few people. Hi, Kashyap. Good to see you again. And we have Nitin and we have Mohammed saying yes, they can hear me. So I'm going to take this as a yes about the confirmation check and then proceed. Okay. So guys, today we'll be learning about Splunk, right? So what is Splunk? Why do we need to learn it? All of those kind of things. Let me just show you through the agenda. What is monitoring? Why do we monitor? What is Splunk specifically? What are the benefits of using Splunk? What are the different products that Splunk offers? the Splunk enterprise licensing part, a case study, and then the what are the different enterprise rules available that you guys can go ahead and choose for yourself. And obviously we'll have a small demo where I'll show you guys how to use Splunk, right? For a very simple use case. We'll take a static data file, we'll upload it on Splunk, and then we'll just search some data, like discover data. Okay, so this is what we'll be doing today. Now there's one thing, if you guys stick till the end of this session, I have something really cute to show you guys, right? It's not really relevant to the session, but it's really cute, I can guarantee it. So if you guys stick till the end, it's going to be a good surprise for you. Okay, now let's start with why monitor, right? So that's a very good question. A lot of people need to know and don't really understand what monitoring is and why is it so important, right? So monitoring is very important because of the fact that it allows us to gain a lot of insights into whatever we are doing. You do monitoring in a lot of different places. It's not just business, or it's not just scientists who are monitoring and taking feedback and observing. Even we have to observe, right? When we observe, we get a feedback for whatever we've done so far, and then we try to make a change in it, right? Even in personal life, you can do that. So that's why monitoring is very important. Now, coming to the more relevant fact over here, why do we monitor in specifically, software development per se, right? So, sorry guys. So continuous monitoring or monitoring is very important because it allows us to basically continuously monitor and one second guys. Yeah, sorry guys, this is a little disturbance. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Yeah. So what I was saying was that all these big companies, right, like Amazon and Microsoft, Adobe, Spotify, Netflix, Google, Slack, Bose, IBM, Adidas, all of these are pretty big companies. They have a big line of products that they want to sell to people. And if you have that many products and you want to sell them, you want to make sure that you're doing it as efficiently as possible. And you're making sure that the experience your customers are getting is the best one as possible. Because you have a lot of competitors in your field, and a lot of these companies are competitors to each other, like Amazon and Microsoft and Google. And you want to make sure whatever you're providing to your customers makes them become loyal to you. So you need to monitor continuously what is happening to your products, what is happening, what kind of efficiency there is, and how can you improve upon it. And that's how we monitor basically, right? So these kind of companies, they monitor a large set of data, right? There's a different types of data. They have system data, you have customer data, you have logs, you have metrics, you have server data. There's a lot of different type of data that these companies collect, and they collect it in very large scale, right? Because they're such large companies with large line of products, they have to collect a lot of different data. And for this purpose, they have different types of monitoring tools that help them to basically monitor this large sets of data, right? Okay, so what they do is they basically take this data and they visualize it, because the visual aspect of monitoring is one of the most it's very important, because humans really have a appeal towards visual things. If you look at the graphs over here, now they don't really represent anything, but they are much better to look at than the text that I've written over here, right? And that is very important, because if we are able to understand things better because we like them more, then that's how we should look at it. So whenever you monitor stuff, we usually monitor them, by looking at different kinds of graphs and different kinds of visualizations that help us to better understand what is happening with our data, right? You want to get better insights from everything, and that's why you create amazing dashboards with really beautiful visuals that help you really understand what's going on. You get into the core of it. It's much better than looking at just, a big Excel sheet, large set of data. So that's why we do it. Okay. Now, there's a lot of benefits towards monitoring. You always see that when you monitor your data, you are able to gain a lot of different insights. And because of those insights, you see a lot of improvement because you implement those changes. And because of that, your product becomes amazing. And when your product becomes amazing, you see a lot of customers coming in, your revenue increasing. And again, there is a technical factor also about scalability that I talk about a lot when I talk about monitoring, because when you're able to monitor your applications, when you're able to monitor your software development process, you understand what are the weak points, you understand where you can improve, and you understand your system very well. And that's where you're able to scale wherever possible. Okay, so these are the different benefits of it. Now, let's talk about different types of monitoring. You have system performance, you have process monitoring, you have integration, you have application performance, business monitoring. Now, system performance is about all the system, how the system working or not, and then process monitoring, all the different processes within that system, how are they working efficiently or not. Integration monitoring, where you're monitoring how everything is integrated to each other. Application performance monitoring, where you're monitoring your specific application and making sure that the application that you've created and developed is working properly or not, and what is the efficiency of it. And then there's business monitoring, but that goes into business analytics, where you're making observations from large sets of data coming in from the business process, where whatever is happening in your business side, right? You look at, you want to find trends, you want to find patterns. So that comes under the part of business process monitoring. Okay. Now, there are a lot of different monitoring tools out there. You have ELK, Prometheus, Grafana, Nagios, Amazon CloudWatch, and Splunk. So today we'll be talking about Splunk. Now, Splunk, right? What it really is it? Okay. Okay, so we have a few comments coming in. So, Kashyap is saying the error rate can be easily identified. Yes, you're exactly right, Kashyap. It's much more easy to identify error, right, when you're continuously monitoring everything. Yes, please, guys, do a session on Dynatrace also. I am not aware of this, but you know what? I'll let my team know and we'll check it out. Okay. Wait, one more. We have Pritesh Kamble saying, can I use Splunk with Ansible? Yes, you can. It's definitely possible. I think there's a sort of integration, something called Ansible, Splunk Tower or something. You can use that for integrating Ansible and Splunk together. Okay. So let's go to the question of what is Splunk. And again, guys, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. I'll be answering them. That's what this live session is about. Me just, answering you guys, answering your questions so that it's easy for you guys to understand the topic at hand. Okay. If you guys don't understand anything, please immediately let me know. This way you'll properly understand, what we're teaching. So Splunk, what is Splunk? Well, Splunk is a data collection, data analysis, and a data visualization tool. You can basically collect data using Splunk. You can analyze data using Splunk, and you can visualize data using Splunk. Now, these are three distinct things. Collecting is basically taking data from a source. Analyzing is taking that data and finding insights from it, and running different algorithms in it to find different patterns and trends. And visualization is to create different visuals. Okay, so Splunk can do all of these different things. So Splunk is kind of like an all-in-one tool, but let's not call Splunk the tool over here. Splunk is actually the company that has different line of products that it tries to sell to other people. Okay, and we'll understand which specific product are we going to be talking about when we're talking about monitoring. Okay, so companies use this to collect, monitor various types of data, such as application metrics, application logs. I hope you guys know the difference between metrics and logs. Metrics are basically what tell you if there is something going wrong or not, right? If your resource usage is high, then there's something wrong, right? And to figure out what is wrong, you need to use logs. Logs are basically, they're logs of what is going on with the system. Like if at this particular time this happened, at this particular time this happened. So those are your logs, right? So you can monitor metrics as well as logs with Splunk. Transactional data, where things are being transacting, customer data, whatever customer habits or customer personal information, networking data, configuration settings, CSV, security data, even more. You can basically do almost any type of format. Splunk is really, good with that. Okay, so logs. So what basically Splunk does is it takes all this kind of data and converts it into visuals, right? So that's the main aim over here. It can collect all the mentioned types of data and even more, and then process all of the data based on conditions set by the user, and finally visualize the data for further presentation and better understanding of the data collected. So basically what we're doing is we're taking data and we're converting it into visuals to get better insights and find better information. Okay, so what are the different benefits of using Splunk products? So it has real-time performance monitoring. That means you do it in real time as it is happening. It's a logging tool. Now, logging tool is a tool that basically helps you to store and analyze the different logs from different systems and applications. It has the good stack security and alerting. If something is fraudulent that is happening, you'll get an alert for it. Or if something goes wrong in the whole pipeline, then you'll get alerted about it. Then there are dashboards, and there's a lot of different visualizations. The dashboards are very dynamic, and they're again real-time dashboards. And data analytics is a big part of it. You can run different kinds of machine learning algorithms to get better insights, right? Okay, so we have more benefits, like it's very easy to use. So there is a bit of a steep curve learning it, but once you get to use it once you get the hang of it, it's very easy to use. Like, it's just in the starting you'll get a little overwhelmed, but that's all right. I'll quickly tell you guys what are the more important things that you have to concern yourself with. It's got very good customer support. Now, there's a catch behind why it's got very good customer support. I'll tell you guys about it. And ML abilities, right? So it has really amazing algorithms that it provides that you guys can go ahead and use to, again, make better predictions and make better business decisions, right? Okay. So those are the benefits. Now let's talk about Splunk. So Splunk is a company. It's a multi-million-dollar company. I think it's a multi-billion-dollar company. Yes, it's a multi-billion-dollar company that has different products. It has a lot of different products. It has Splunk Core, it has Splunk IT Operations, Splunk Security, and Splunk DevOps. So these are the main products that they sell, right? Each of them perform, specific tasks. Splunk Security, you guys might have heard of SIEM. It's very popular out there. Splunk DevOps is basically for developing software, and Splunk IT Operations is part of the IT environment, right? So Splunk offers different environments. Now, the one that we'll be studying about is called Splunk Enterprise, which is part of our core, Splunk Core. Okay, so Splunk Enterprise is basically just for monitoring. It does not do any of the other things like integrate with the IIT environment, or act as a DevOps tool, or do any specific security things, right? So Splunk Enterprise is basically, you can think of it as a monitoring tool. It is a part of Splunk Core. Okay, so how is the Splunk Enterprise set up? So there are different parts of it. Even Splunk Enterprise is not a single tool. It is divided into multiple tools. Okay, so now to clear any confusion, just understand that Splunk Enterprise is the monitoring tool that we were talking about so far. Okay, and Splunk is the company that makes this tool and maintains this tool. Okay, now that we're clear about that, I have to tell you guys that even within Splunk Enterprise, you have different parts. So all of these different parts together form Splunk Enterprise. So these different parts are your forwarder, your indexer, your search head, your management tools, and your cloud infrastructure. Okay, so what are these things? Let me explain them. First, we have the forwarder. Now, the forwarder is a part of Splunk Enterprise that allows you to collect data. So basically, you will take a forwarder and you will put it on any source. Let's say it's a server, it's a remote server. You put a forwarder on it, and what a forwarder will do is basically it will collect data from endpoints and will deliver it to us. Now, that's the first part of data visual, that's the first part of data collection. Now, we need to process that data. So how do we process that data? We basically do it within either the forward itself, or we do it before it comes to the index, right? So now the index is basically the place where all of the data will be stored. So your data will be stored in different indexes, and you can define different types of indexes. You don't need to go into detail, but basically understand the indexer is where the data is stored, with metadata attached to it, so that it becomes very easy to search that data. Our main aim over here, guys, is to basically find insights. Now, if you have large sets of data being stored somewhere, you want to quickly search it. So that's why we make use of indexes, so that that data is very easily searchable. All right, so that is the job of indexer and search head. Now, search heads are basically something that allow you to search for data. Okay, so I hope it's clear. These are the three main parts to it. Forwarder collects data, indexer stores data, and search head searches data. Now, we have management tools. So when we talk about forwarder, index, and search head, these forwarders can be multiple of them, because you might be collecting data from multiple sources. So you won't have one forwarder collecting from 5 servers. You'll have 5 forwarders collecting from 5 servers. And maybe you have like a lot of data, right? So all of that data will not be stored in one index. It will be stored in multiple indexes over multiple servers. Okay. And you'll have a lot of search heads, because in one company which has thousands of employees, they all can't use one server, because they'll need to make searches at the same time, maybe. So if they're using the same search head, then the same search head will not have enough resources to handle that many people. That's why we'll have multiple search heads. So because of that, we have multiple of each of these things. You can say clusters. You'll have a cluster of forwarders, you have a cluster of indexes, and you have a cluster of search heads. Now, each of these clusters is going to be managed. So a forwarder will be managed by your deployment server. Your indexer cluster will be managed by index cluster, and your search head cluster will be managed by the search head cluster. Okay, and then you have a few other things like the management console and license master, which basically manage the whole thing. We'll get to that shortly. You don't have to concern for yourself with that. Just understand this is what a Splunk Enterprise tool looks like. And all of this is situated on infrastructure, obviously, because you have to have your servers somewhere. Now you can make use of Splunk's cloud service. That basically means that they'll be hosting everything. So you don't have to install any of this. You just have to configure it. Even that they'll help you out with. But if you don't want to do that, you want to set it up locally, you can do that too. You have an option for that also. Okay, but these days everyone's using cloud, right? So yeah, but don't worry, we'll be practicing with the local infrastructure, because that's the free one, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you just want to practice free stuff, right? Okay, so Splunk Enterprise layout. Now we basically got the components, but how is it really laid out? So first you have the server. Now the server will produce data. The data will be collected by the forwarder. The forwarder will take the data and give it to the indexer for storing and indexing. And that data will be then searched by search heads. Okay, and this will all be managed by management tools, and there'll be a layer of security all these things, because Splunk really concentrates on security. Even when you're using Splunk Enterprise, right, the specific part of Enterprise that allows you to monitor, right, that is very secure, and there are very less number of loopholes that you can exploit. Okay. And obviously there's an alerting feature, a very complicated alerting feature, where you can configure alerts for specific things. If you're receiving a lot of specific set of data and you don't want to receive it, so you set an alert for that and you get informed about it. Okay, so this is what your Splunk Enterprise layout is like. Very simple terms. Okay, so before we begin enterprise licensing, I want to tell you guys that how Splunk really works as a company, right? So Splunk, what they do is they give you the product basically to use. But then when it comes to index data, right, that's how they get their money. So you have to buy licensing deals from Splunk that allow you to store this data. Okay. So if you index like 1 GB per day, you have to pay Splunk for 1 GB per day. Or if you index 100 GBs per day, you have to pay Splunk accordingly. And it's a very expensive tool. So forget about using it if you are a small business or if you are an individual person for your own purpose. You can use it for practicing and everything, but you cannot use it for payment, because this is Splunk generally caters to big companies, right? You have like companies like Intel or government institutions, all those kind of companies, because the pricing can go into millions of dollars, and it's not something an individual can afford unless you're one of the millionaires, right? And if you're a millionaire, then you already know about it, or you wouldn't be watching this video. So now that brings us to Splunk Enterprise licensing again. So there are different types of licensing, and they basically allow you to use the product. So you have Splunk Platform license, Splunk Enterprise Infrastructure license, blah, 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 blah. we don't need to concern ourselves with all of these different licensing because that's the job of a Splunk administrator. And I just want to give you guys a quick breather to check everything out. Okay. So that was Splunk Enterprise Licensing. I can just go through all of these, but I'll just avoid that. So let's look at a case study. So Intel, we always can see me now. I'm not seeing a lot of activity on the chat. Please, guys, go ahead and give me a yes or no so I can continue with the session. Okay. Sorry about the network issue. All right. So Kashak gives me a yes. I'm just gonna proceed. So the thing with Intel was, Intel is kind of an old company now. They've been working with a different set of products for a long time, right? And what they saw was that they're not able to adapt to the changing market. So what they did was when the new CEO came up, I forget his name, but he basically tried to change the business model of the company. So they tried to become a data-driven company where they wanted to utilize a lot of different types of data, right, that they already have and that they're going to store in future. And for that purpose, what they did was they implemented Splunk's monitoring tools, right? And that really helped them out. Now it's doing much better than it would have done before. But to be honest, Intel has a lot of other problems that I don't want to delve into. That's going to make it obsolete in future. But my point here being that they were able to improve themselves by making use of Splunk. Now, Splunk has a lot of is being used by a lot of different companies also. A lot of government institutions also make use of it, but mostly private institutions only, right? So it's been really helpful to a lot of different people. Now, there are a lot of different roles within Splunk that we can talk about. Let me just give you guys a clear idea about all the different roles there are. And that way you guys will understand, what kind of career path you guys can take. Okay. So there are roles like administrator, knowledge manager, search user, pivot user, and developer. Okay, let me just go through each of these. So first, the administrator. So a Splunk administrator is basically responsible for maintaining and managing Splunk. So once Splunk has been, locally set up, this administrator is the one who's responsible for understanding what are the requirements of the company and how to implement those solutions for those requirements, right? And he's also responsible for basically giving permissions, managing all the different permissions and all those sort of stuff. Now, a knowledge manager. So to understand what a knowledge manager is, we really need to look at Splunk into a little bit more detail because Splunk has different kinds of knowledge objects, right? And once we look at them, that's when you guys will understand what a knowledge manager is. And similarly, search user and pivot user. Okay, so let me just give you a clear idea. Search user is basically a person who has basic access. So if you have, you're basically searching for data, right? You're just querying data at that point as a search user. Okay, so it's not specific role. It's just it's a bonus to have as an employee. Okay. And pivot user is basically the basically managers who create visualizations or pivots using Splunk. Okay, you can create visualizations in Splunk without needing to know coding. That's a big plus. It makes it easy for a lot of people who are just in managerial positions to use Splunk without actually having to spend a lot of time in training to understand how to create these dashboards and graphs. And then developer, so you can create apps within Splunk also. And there are a lot of Splunk developers who create these apps, right? And basically do all the configuration settings and everything. Oh yeah, so the administrator's job is also to, basically make all the configuration settings. There is a lot of different config settings when you start dealing with Splunk, okay? And most of them are being configured by the administrator. So the main job here is basically Splunk administrator, knowledge manager, and a developer. Pivot user and search user are basically bonuses. You don't have certifications for them. So I think you have basic certification for Splunk. All right, so now I'm going to teach you guys how you can go ahead and install Splunk for free. Okay, so what you need to do is just go to your browser and type in Splunk Enterprise for free. So the first link you see, download Splunk Enterprise for free. Just click on that. It's a free version. You really don't have to think a lot about it, and you don't have to worry about paying for it. Now I'm already logged in. That's why it's giving me this screen. But if you guys are not logged in, you need to click over here. You need to click over here, free Splunk. And once you click over here, it will ask you to register or log in. So you need to register. If you have a business email ID, you can use that. And if you don't have that, I think it's still fine. That's not a big problem. And once you're logged in, you're gonna see this screen, that page, and you have option to install on Linux or Windows. Now, I was thinking of doing it on Windows, but if you guys want, I can do it on Linux also. I can do both. Okay, so which one do you guys want? Let me know in the comments. I'll just wait for your answer. I can show both, I guess. Okay, Ashish Gupta is asking slide before case study. So, okay, so you wanted to see Splunk enterprise licensing. So if you want, I can go into detail for this. The thing is, I kind of skipped it because I didn't want to confuse you guys. So there are different types of licensing. We have Splunk platform licensing, Splunk infrastructure license. There are like small differences. I don't exactly remember those differences. But I can tell you the difference between the trial license and free license. So the trial license is used for for companies, they want to do proof of concepts and everything, and free license is for people just learning it for themselves. Okay. And forwarder license is just when you want to use specific forwarders like heavy forwarder and universal forwarder. Beta license is when you want to subscribe for getting all the beta versions of Splunk. So if there's a new beta version, which is not, a proper version, and you want access to that, you get a beta license. Splunk premium app licenses. So for a lot of apps, there's a premium licensing, and there is industrial IoT license, which is for IoT purposes. Okay, so I hope that was clear. Prakhar Ranjan is asking, hello sir, is Splunk cloud? What kind of question is that? I think you're trying to ask if Splunk is available on cloud. Yes, Prakhar. Splunk is available on cloud also. Actually, they push their cloud platform because it's easier for them and to charge more money to people. That's why they love pushing their cloud platform. But you can go ahead and download it also for local system. Okay, so I'm getting the first answers. People want Windows only, so I guess I'll do that. So can you tell me IRCTC Tatkal booking ideas? Mohammed Ismail, I'm not sure if I can tell you that because that's not really my domain. If you want DevOps or UI UX, you can go ahead and ask. But I think you're asking for creating a website. I'm not really sure. You have to extrapolate on that idea. All right, so let's do Windows. Right, so for Windows, you have Windows 10, a Windows Server. Just go ahead and click on download, and it will start downloading the .msi file for you. We'll wait for it to download for me, but I actually have it downloaded. Let me just open this up. Yeah. Okay, so because I downloaded it already, so it's giving me this. So basically, I'm not going to uninstall it and download it again because it's a long process. I don't want to waste your time. There's not much to configure there. It will just ask you to accept a license, and will ask you for a administrator username and administrator password. Okay, that's all. Okay, cool. So once you've downloaded it, right, how do you access it? So what you can do is just open your browser and type in localhost and go to 8000. Okay, so this is how you access it. It's available at the port 8000, right? So you can see Splunk Enterprise opening up over here. You can type in the username and password you gave during installation. So you have admin, that's what I gave, and my password was admin1234. Okay. Did I forget the password I gave it? Okay, guys, I think I have forgotten the password I gave it. Let me try this again. All right, looks like we're in. I didn't forget my password. It was admin1234 only. Yes, we are in. You guys can go ahead and save the password. And this is basically what your Splunk Enterprise dashboard is going to look like. Okay, now this is your home page. I did not mean a dashboard as in visualizations as dashboards, right? This is just your dashboard for the application. Cool. So you have a lot of different options. Let's go through these and understand each of these. Okay. So on the left hand side, no, actually, let's skip the left hand side. Let's start from the middle. What is available to us? So this is Explore Splunk Enterprise. This is for beginners. So if you want to check out all the different products that Splunk has to offer, you can, check out the product. If you want to add data immediately, you can go ahead and click on add data. It will take you to the add data page. And if we come back, you can click on Splunk apps to check out all the different apps. You can add Splunk documentation. So this is something that I would really recommend you guys to go through, because Splunk documentation has almost everything that you guys need to learn. Okay, so check out the Splunk documentation, and if you want to learn more about it, use a free version with it. So this is basically your basic stuff. You can click on close, because I'll just tell you guys how to check it out normally. Okay, this is for beginners. Now, on the left hand side, you guys can see Splunk Enterprise. This is for, if you click on it, you'll basically come to this page. You have apps. So there are different apps over here. Now the default main app is the search and reporting app. So this is the app that you will use for basically searching any data. So if you want to find out specific parts of your data, like if you want to query your data, then you'll be using search and reporting app. Okay, I'll tell you how to use it. Let me just show you guys what is everything. Then you can add more apps also. If you want to add GitHub integration, or if you want to add any sort of integration, you can go ahead and use an app over here. Specific visualizations, if you want to do those, you can go ahead and click on this, find more app, search that app, and then you'll get an app. Okay, I'm not going to go into that because it's going to a lot more detail than necessary right now. If we have time, I'll go into that. Okay, now coming over here, there's a green button you guys see, right? Not green button, a green icon with the eye over here. So just click on this. First, if you hover on it, you'll see health is green. So that is very good. So you should always make sure that your health is green, or at the most yellow. It should not go to red, because red means there's alarms going off. Basically, something is not working. So here you guys can see Splunk D, which is the Splunk daemon. Which is basically the Splunk engine that runs everything that is Splunk. Okay, and all the different processes that run with Splunk. You have the batch reader, tail reader, buckets, disk space, index optimization, search lag. All of these different processes, they're working well because they're green. And you guys can see the legend over here, features functioning properly. Yellow means the feature is experiencing a problem. The status might automatically improve, or it might worsen over time. And red, the feature has severe issues and it is negatively impacting the functionality of your deployment. Now, what is the specific deployment over here? They're basically talking about, you collecting data, just that, okay? And health report is disabled for this feature. If you want to do that, you guys can do that also. Okay, so that is your green button or icon, whatever. Then comes the administrator. You can check out all the administrator level settings. If you want to basically change any password or something, you can go ahead and change over here. Yep. And then you have preferences you can set, but let's come back and let's check out settings. Messages is basically once again, yeah, so once you get notifications and all, you'll see them in messages. So your notification bar is this, and settings is the one that you'll be using the most. So settings is basically where you can do all of these things. Now, we have a lot of different options over here. Let me tell you guys about each of these. So first we have knowledge. So knowledge, again, remember this relates to a knowledge manager. So you have things like searches, reports, alerts, data models, event types, tags, fields, lookups, user interface, alert actions, advanced configurations, advanced search, and all configurations. So a knowledge manager, the role is responsible for maintaining all of these, because you can have different, dashboards. You can have different data models that you're utilizing for storing your data and analyzing your data. Then you have event types, how to configure your event types, right? So that you can easily distinguish your data, and your tags, in your fields, your lookups. So all of those things are handled by your knowledge manager. and there's a big space just for your knowledge objects. Okay, so these are your knowledge objects. Then you have data. So under data, you have the option of configuring how you will be receiving data. So data inputs, forwarding, receiving, indexes, report acceleration summaries, and show steps. So data inputs is basically you defining what kind of data, how do you want your data to be inputted, right? And forwarding and receiving. So those are important facts. So forwarding is collecting data and receiving is receiving data. So you configure forwarding and receiving from here. Okay, and then you have indexes. We'll go into indexes and check them out. They're basically different, as we talked, they're used to store data. Okay, and report acceleration summaries. So it can take some time to generate reports. If you want to accelerate them, then you can go ahead and use report acceleration summaries. And then you have distributed environment. So this talks about how we had cluster of everything, right? So you had a cluster of forwarders, you had a cluster of indexes, and you have a cluster of search heads. To manage all of those things, you basically utilize these things. Okay, now in a lot of your servers, so let's say you have 5 servers, and in those 5 servers you decide that 2 of them are going to be indexers, 2 of them are going to be forwarders, and 1 is going to be your management console, which will also act as a search head. So you have 5 servers that has specific tasks. So if one of your servers, Splunk Enterprise, on which Splunk Enterprise is installed, but hooray, we are back. Sorry for the delay, guys. Again, this internet is going to kill me. Sorry for the inconvenience, guys. Trying really hard to make sure that you guys get quality content, but you know, these power outages and subpar internet service providers are really making it hard and difficult. Okay, so just give me a confirmation in the chat, and so sorry for the disturbance again. Let me just get. Okay, so what I was talking about is that when you have a lot of different servers, right, and each of them has specific tasks assigned. So if one is an indexer, then it will only be an indexer. This one is a general purpose server. Okay, that's why we have everything available. Okay, then you have system settings, which basically goes into detail about how to change your server settings and all that. And you have, again, administrative level things like roles and user and tokens and password management and all of those kind of things. Then you have a big monitoring console. Now, in a lot of cases, you can have a separate monitoring console, a server just dedicated for that, but a lot of times you don't do that. Then you have adding data. So that is a part of this, you adding data. Okay, so let's quickly go ahead and add some data and actually work with this before my internet goes down again. Now, we have Ashish asking what kind of course can we take for an advancement of this. So right now, Ashish, what I can tell you is just watch this live session and go ahead to Great Learning Academy and check out our Splunk course that is available, right? So you can just type in Splunk. As a Splunk in Hindi course, you can go ahead and check it out. If you like it, then, you know, that's awesome. And leave a comment if you want more courses from us regarding this, okay? Cool. So with that out of the way, let's actually go and add the data. So once you click on add data, you will see this come up, but these are basically guides for adding data sources. Okay, so you have different types of data sources, right? But we're going to skip all of that because that's going to a little bit more advanced. We're just going to be trying something simple out. So over here, I'm going to come down. It's written over here, data in following methods. So there are very simple 3 methods: upload, monitor, and forward. Again, forward is from a forwarder, monitor is from specific files that you want to upload, or, you know, specific ports you want to collect data from, but we're just going to upload, okay, because that's the most simple part. And let me just take you through all of this using the most simple process. Okay. All right. So once you click on upload, it's going to ask you to select a file. So I'm just going to go and click on select file, and make sure you have a CSV file because that's the most easily readable one. So I've got a username.csv. It's a very sample. It's a sample file I got from internet. Just typed in CSV sample file. Once we select the source, our next thing is to set the source type. Now, in source type setting, there are a lot of different things you can do and you may need to do. But right now, we don't need to do it because it's already set. So in source type, you need to talk about which kind of specific source it is so that your Splunk can understand. Splunk has a very smart thing. It's very smart in this particular factor that it can easily identify data of any format. It has a lot of different formats over here that you can select, but generally if it does not understand, then you need to tell it, right? And in a lot of cases you do need to tell it, and that's why you have all the advanced settings. We won't be understanding these today. Let me just tell you that, just understand that this is it. Okay, and once you've done that, click on next. That will be input settings. So this will define, once you've defined what the data source is, what is the type of data, how will you be collecting the data. Okay, so over here the host, we're going to leave the host as it is because we don't have any other host. Index, now we can define an index over here. So you can either choose to store it in the default index, which is basically your main index, or you can create a new index for this. Okay, so what we'll do is we're going to click on create a new index, and this is going to give this a name. So I'm just going to say YouTube live. Okay, so this is my index name. This is going to be my index name. I don't need to configure anything else. Okay, those are against advanced details, and I'll just click on save, and it will create my index. So YouTube live is my index, and I can go ahead and store data in this. So let me just click on review, and input type is upload, file name is username. Okay, this is the host, this is the index. Okay, so I'm reviewing all the settings that I've made so far. This looks good to me, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on submit, and it's going to start uploading. So it's been uploaded successfully, everything. Now our next thing can be to basically search this data. So what I'm going to tell you guys is to go to your home page again. Once you come to your home page, you need to click on the search and reporting app. Now you could have directly clicked on start searching there, but I want to introduce search and reporting app to you. Now search and reporting app is a default app that comes with your Splunk Enterprise. This is basically used to search or query your data. Okay. Once I click on search and reporting app, it will ask me for a tour. I'm just going to skip it. No need to do it, but you guys can go ahead and check out the tour. So here you have the search bar. I'll tell you what the important things are. Here's the search bar, and that's about it. Okay, that these things going to advance. I'm just going to tell you the basics. So in search bar, what you can do is you can type in index equals to, and within quotations you can mention your index. Okay, once we mention our index, we can go ahead and search it, and you guys can see it's going to show us for last 24 hours. Now it may take some time to upload the data. All right, so it has uploaded the data. As you guys can see, there are a few entries over here. We have 4 entries. Okay. All right. So this is basically how you search your data. Now let me explain the different things over here. So you have 5 events, the basically 5 records. These are the 5 records, and at what time they were indexed. We can change the time sample also. We can make it last 1 year. So if you guys want, I can do this last 30 days. I think we're going to get the same amount events. Yeah, because our CSV file has only those specific set of values. Okay, so we have for last 30 days, and in events, you guys can see these are the events. If you click on a single event over here, you can see this is the name of the event. Okay, and these are the different values for it. What is the host? What is the source? This is our source, right? So you can click on the source type is CSV, first name Jamie, identifier, last name Smith, username is Smith79, and the timestamp none, time this, it's part of YouTube live index, and line count is only 1, and you have Splunk server. Okay, so these are all the different informations, different fields for your event. Now, if you come to the left hand side, you have selected fields and interesting fields. So selected fields are the ones that are here by mandate, and the other ones are the ones that we have not included so far. Okay. Now, if you want to search for specific data, so let's say that we want to search for first name. Okay. So let me just go ahead. Uh-huh. All right, so let's find a specific. All right, this data isn't that great for searching. Anyways, so I just wanted to show you how to search for data. So what we're gonna do is instead of this, I'm gonna take an internal index. So Splunk has some internal indexes which it uses to store some internal data. So if I press enter over here, you guys will see in the internal index we have a lot of data. We have 452 events, and these are basically Splunk's internal data, right? That it's using, like the source type, the source, host, right? So there's a lot of fields, and this is basically system information, right? And let's say that we want to check for a specific source, right? So no, let's not take source. Let's take source type. Okay. So what I can do over here is copy this. So you guys can see the number of events increased, and we got all the this thing, all the events that are of the source type Splunk D, right? So there are 49,000 events for Splunk D, and all of this. So what we're doing over here is basically we're typing in a command to ask for data that is inside internal index. This is the command for that. Index equal this. And once we find that out, what we're doing is we're basically searching within this output. So whatever output we get out of this, we're using that as an input. So whatever number of events we got out of that, we want to search for all those events where the source type is Splunk D. So that's what we got. The source type changed from number of 6 to source types to 1 source type because we searched for only that source type. So this way you guys can go ahead and search for all the data there is on Splunk. So there is different types of searching also that we can perform on this, right? And there's a lot more detail to go into with Splunk. So this is just to give you guys an idea. Now let me just show you about the indexes. So there are a lot of indexes. You can create your own indexes, and there are some indexes that are there by default. Okay. So let me give you guys an idea about that. So you guys can see audit, internal, introspection, metrics, telemetry, history, main. So all of these are by default created indexes. The only one that's new is YouTube Live, right? And you can see how many, what the event count for it is. It's only 5 events. When was it indexed last? 6 minutes ago. Okay. So this is how you create, basically have your indexes. Now you can disable it, delete, or even edit it, or you can add new indexes also. So again, the same screen you see when we were creating an index before. And you can store all of your data in main also. Main is like a temporary kind of place where you store your data just for checking stuff. And you can go to the monitoring console to monitor all the things there are. Let me show you the monitoring console a bit. We won't go into detail because the monitoring console is also very advanced. It's got a lot of different things that you guys can search. So it gives us basic information over here. So as we're waiting for the data to come up. All right, so we're gonna, so you guys can see disk usage and how much license usage. So the thing is that we cannot use more than whatever we have assigned as a pool, right? So if we are allowed to index only 500 MB per day, that's how much we're able to index. More than that, there is a violation, and that is not appreciated, right? So violations are something you really want to avoid. You get warnings before a violation also. So that is something going to advance. We don't need to think about that, but you guys can see all the different things that are available over here. And this is just one tab. This is an overview. We have a summary, we have a health check. You want to check specific index. Even with specific index, what do you want to check specifically? You want to check performance, you want to check instance performance or advanced performance, license usage, you want to go by today or historic, searching, resource usage, forwarders, settings, and health check. So there are so many things to do over here. Actually, it's a pretty good tool, but the only problem is it's a very expensive tool that you cannot use for your own stuff unless it's very small scale. So in CPU usage, you can see Splunk Enterprise is using only 5%. It tells us which processes are using. You can click on them, non-Splunk processes, memory usage, KV store, any alerts that are configured. Okay, so guys, that was it for our demo. I hope you guys understood what Splunk is and you guys got the basic idea. Okay, all right, so let me come back to a slide. We can go ahead and finish this off. Actually, I don't have anything more else to tell you guys, but I will do a small Q&A for 2-3 minutes and then we can go ahead and end the session. All right, so if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comment. I'll be going through them and I'll be answering them. All right, so Mohammed Shahid Ali's, sir, which cloud we use, AWS or this? Okay, so let me give you guys a clear distinction. So cloud, when you want to use Splunk, right? When you talk about using Splunk cloud, what you're basically saying is that instead of installing Splunk on your own system, like localhost 8000 and all, you're just utilizing Splunk's cloud service. So you directly access it through your web browser or whatever it's, right? And there you don't have to configure or set up anything. You have to configure stuff, yeah, but you don't have to set up anything. It makes it very easy. Now, when you're talking about AWS, right? AWS itself provides a lot of different services. And if you are going to use Splunk on AWS, you might as well use the Splunk cloud itself. You'll see cheaper options over there, right? Unless you go into detail, then I don't know. Okay, so Amit Chand Thakur saying, hi Amit, so you want to get hands-on to Splunk security and essentials. Do we have this topic covered in PG program in cybersecurity? So Amit, I'll be honest with you, I don't have an exact idea about all the different things that are being covered in the cybersecurity program in a PG course. What you can do is you can contact our team, and I'm sure they'll be more than glad to tell you all the different things in a lot more detail, right? Whatever you want to know. So you can go ahead and check with them. Contact us at Great Learning Contact. Okay. Could you please help me understand difference between cluster and distributed environment? Okay. So good question. Basically, what you're asking is distributed. So a cluster is a distributed environment, right? So why do we call it a distributed environment? The words tell you the story. A distributed environment, right? So you have an indexer cluster, and that is a distributed environment, right? And to set it up, you have to set it up. So the reason we have different indexes within a cluster is because we may want to store data differently. So there are a lot of different kinds of policies when you're storing data. You want to store your data in a hot bucket, in a thawed bucket, in a cold bucket. There are a lot of options for you. And with different kinds of data coming in, you may want to store specific kind of data in specific buckets, right? And you may want to store specific type of data together itself. So that's why you can have different indexes that really make it a lot more easier, and you may want to store a large amount of data distributedly, right? So that's why you have different indexes within a cluster. Similarly, with forwarders, you have a lot of forwarders because you want to collect data from different kinds of places, and one forwarder cannot do all the job, all of that. So you have different forwarders for that. Cool. I hope that was clear. If that didn't answer, you can go ahead and ask me. All right, so Adarsh is asking, sir, can you please explain the slide pivot user one, please? All right, sure. Let me just go ahead and explain this. So when I was talking about Splunk Enterprise roles, there are a lot of roles for you. So you have administrator who's responsible for managing and maintaining the Splunk enterprise. You have knowledge manager who's going to be managing only specifically the knowledge objects. He'll create them. He'll have the knowledge to create them, and then he basically manages all of them. Then you have the search user, is a person certified to use Splunk properly. Then a pivot user who's also certified to use Splunk properly, but he knows how to create pivots also. So talking about pivots, let me just give you guys an idea about what pivots are. So pivots are created using data models. What basically happens is Splunk, kind of understands what you want to do. And once it understands what you want to do, it asks you if you want to create a specific pivot or not. Let me see if I can do it right now itself. Actually, it's going to take a few minutes. So I think I'll just have to go into theory and implement it. Okay. So pivot user is basically going to be going to pivot options, and using them, you will be creating graphs. Okay. Now, normally you may need to give in big queries to create graphs, right? You'll need to have a specific query over here to create a graph. You need to create a table, and once you created the table, you want to create a graph or not, then you have to add specific commands for that. But if you do not know how to do that, then you go ahead and use a pivot for that purpose. Okay. All right. So I hope that cleared it for you. Please share Splunk architecture. So Ashish, this learning material will be given by the moderator. Moderator, please link the learning material so that people can access it. Okay, so don't worry, they'll be giving it in the chat. They might have given it before. You can go ahead and check it out. Okay, Ashish is asking the difference between indexing and clustering. Okay, so let me make it very clear. Let's go to the Splunk architecture and let me give you guys a clear distinction of what is happening. Okay, so over here, you have the forwarder, which collects data. You have the indexers that index data. That means that they store the data as well as add metadata onto it. So metadata basically contains information like unique IDs that help you to find this data, right? So if you just randomly store data, it's very difficult to find it. But if you number it, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then it becomes a lot more easier to find it, right? So that is basically indexing the data. Now, once you've indexed the data, you want to search for that data, right? You want to query it. You want to see specific parts of your data. That's what we did with the search and reporting app. That's where you use search heads. Now, what is clustering over here? So clustering is basically having a lot of different objects of the same time within one group. That is the basic definition of cluster. So you will have a cluster of forwarders. That means you may have 5, 10, 100 forwarders in one group, and they will be called a cluster of forwarders, right? And you will have hundreds of indexers in one group. So you'll call that group a cluster of indexers, right? So that is the difference. An index is basically a component of Splunk Enterprise, and a cluster is a term I'm using to talk about groups. A group of indexes is called a cluster of indexes, right? I hope that is clear now. Ashish, you're asking about TIPID. I did not explain anything about TIPID. What do you mean by TIPID? I don't think there is anything such as TIPID. Yes, a group of indexes is called a cluster of indexes, right? It's just a way of saying it. Okay, so Nitin is asking, can you show Splunk dashboard of monitoring checks, say on host and alerts on any REX? So we have not configured any alerts, so it will not show us any alerts. But if you go to the monitoring console, now you wanted to see host specific stuff, right? So for host, you have it in your overview, right? And if you go to summary, no. TIPID or livid, I don't remember saying that. Let me think about it. No, I don't remember saying that. I think you may have misheard something that I don't remember. Right. In summary, basically you get the health status of all the different things, if everything's working or not. So when you have big deployments with 5, 6, 7 indexes and clusters, right? You want to make sure everything's working. So you check that in your summary. Okay. Now for host, these are the basic host things. But what do you want in specifically host? Do you want to check the indexing that's happening in host? So what we can do is, but we're not inputting anything right now. You can go index detail instance wise. Uh, okay, so asked by someone else. Okay, guys, we have gone way beyond the time limit. I think it's on 120 now. That's way beyond our time. I'm not able to find what tippet or level what I was talking about. I'm sorry about that. Uh, but I don't think it's that important, so you can skip it. What you were asking is the main important stuff, and that's clear for you. That's amazing. Okay, so over here you can see the instance detail for all the indexes. We have only one instance which is acting as everything, and we can check in index wise. You can go to YouTube Live. That is the index that we created. Okay, so I'm going to do just one last question. That is Adarsh asking, sir, what is license master and deployment server? Okay, so a license master. So when I talked about these specific servers, right, where one server can act as an indexer, right, you can have one server that acts as a license manager itself, right, which does everything related to the licenses. So yes, in very big companies, you have one server that is dedicated just for license management because you can have a lot of licenses with Splunk, right? I even skipped that part of telling you guys in detail about all the licenses because I thought it was unnecessary for you guys. But yeah, you can manage all those different licenses, and there are different specific settings with licenses. You want to set alerts and triggers for that. And what happens is there a specific condition that you set when a violation happens? There's a lot of things. A deployment server is a management server that is basically used to add and remove forwarders. So if you have 100 forwarders on 100 systems, and you want to update all of them at once, how do you do it? You make use of a deployment server, right? Or if you want to remove 50 of them, you use a deployment server. Okay. All right. So guys, that was it for this session. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I hope that you guys found it useful. I'll see you guys in the next session, and please like and comment if you like it. Like the video if you liked it, or like the session if you liked it. If you're watching it right now, and if you guys want any more such videos on detailing more about Splunk, then go ahead and ask me. I'll be more happy to create them for you guys. And thank you so much for watching. My name is Ram, and I'll see you guys in my next session. Wait. There's something cute I wanted to show you guys. Give me a second. I totally forgot about it. So, hi guys. Say hi to Louis. Yeah, you guys can see Louis. Oh, he's become a bit bigger now. If you guys watched any of my previous sessions, you might have seen him. He's a lot bigger now. Say hi, Louis. Bye. My name is Louis, and I'll see you guys in the next session.